Bonitas, bonitas. Wedding season is in full effect and I'm here to show you a wedding guest oily skin approved makeup look. I've been going to quite a few weddings and I feel like I've nailed it. So I want to show you how to create that look. So if you're going to any weddings in this upcoming season, you got something that's got you covered for your oily skin, that's long wearing, that's going to look flawless and beautiful for the entire night. So keep watching. Okay, so first things first is always skincare. Skincare is extremely essential to really build that great base for everything that you're gonna be putting on top. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the BYOMA Hydrating Milky Toner. I really am loving this stuff. It is a great alternative if you're not in the place to spend Rhode money, which you guys know Rhode has their fabulous glazing fluid, glazing milk, which I really love the glazing milk, but if I can find an alternative for less and also something that I can easily get my hands on at Ulta, then I will absolutely do so. I know Rhode is coming to Sephora soon, but still, if you're on a budget, if you're bonita on a budget, I get it. This is great. This Milky Toner really helps with just reducing the redness on my skin, also helping my skin feel really nice and hydrated without getting that overly greasy looking look to my face. It also easily absorbs into the skin, so it melts in super fast and you don't have to worry about it laying on top of your skin. So that's the first step that I really like to use, just because I feel like it does a fantastic job of brightening the skin and also making the skin just look really healthy and moisturized. So once we have done that, I also like to go in with my e.l.f. Thirst Burst drops. This has been a essential for me. This gives a glow and brightness, and I think sometimes people, when they see glow, if they have oily skin, they think, oh no gracias, but you definitely need that hydration into your skin so you don't produce too much oil. Sometimes you're producing too much oil because you're not hydrating enough. So if you really go in first step and hydrate as much as you need to, it's going to make sure that once that foundation goes on, it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look overdone, it just looks extremely healthy and ready to receive that foundation on top of the skin. Just applying that all over, like so. You see how the glow really starts to come out? And it just gives such a beautiful, nice finish to the skin. Okay, last but not least, for moisturizing, I'm going to be using Dezi Skincare, which is Latina owned by Dezi Perkins. This has quickly become one of my favorite moisturizers. This is called Agua Fresca, and I'm just going to pump some product out, and we're going to be putting this all over the face. Let's see. And it just gives the most beautiful finish. It's like the perfect cherry on top of the skincare routine that we're doing right now. Okay, so look how nice and hydrated the skin looks. All these products that I'm using right now are extremely lightweight. They're more so of that gel-like consistency, so they really go on the skin so easily and so smoothly, and they create the perfect base so that everything else that you put on top layers so beautifully. And we're going to begin with the eyes, because you definitely want to give your skin time to really absorb this skincare prep. You have to remind yourself we went in with 3 products, so you want those products to each layer on nicely and not have to directly put a foundation on top of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the eyes. For eyes, I'm going to first start off by prepping them. And I'm just gonna be using the concealer that I'm gonna be using on my under eyes to prep the eyes, which is a long wearing concealer. It is the L'Oreal up to 24 hour wear full coverage concealer. This is gonna create a really nice base for the eyelids so that everything that we put on top stays on. Also, I feel like it gives it a more pigmented look and it brings out the colors of the eyeshadow even more. So I would just say you do not need to go out and buy an eye primer. I would just use a concealer of your choice that gives you good long wear. So I'm going to just prep prep the eye, and this is going to really even out the eyes as well. You see how it's evening everything out nicely? So I'm gonna be taking the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. This is what I use. This is like a holy grail for me. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start off with this shade right here. I'm not sure if this palette is still available, Bonitas, to be very honest with you guys. I'm gonna try to find it. I think they only bring it out for certain seasons, so this may come back in the winter. I feel like they usually bring it back for like holidays, but this is definitely one of my favorites. So then I'm gonna go in with this other shade that's kind of like a cool tone moment. So lately, I will say, for the wedding guest makeup looks that I have done, I have kept my makeup more so on the cool tone like vibe. I don't know why. I feel like I'm such a warm tone gal, but I really love how the cool tones look on the eyes. Add like a really pretty look and pop to the eyes, which just makes them stand out a lot and makes them look so pretty. So we're gonna be just putting that all throughout, like so. And we're gonna really build that color up. We can get as much of that color on the eyelid, well, the crease, because that's where we're putting this, so that it creates shadow and depth for the eyelids, and it gives them more so of that like deeper crease fold, because my crease just really folds, like it's like more so hooded. So I'm really just going in with this like so. Then I'm gonna take a flat brush. I've always loved the MAC 242. This is like a holy grail brush for me. And I am going to go in with this shade right here. It's like in the middle. It's like a really pretty, again, cool tone color. And I'm going to just apply that all over the lid. Well, I guess in the beginning part to the midsection of the lid is where we're really going to place that color. And that is going to just give the eyes a really pretty touch of shimmer. And we're not going to be really precise on how we apply it. I just want to give it the room to kind of be a little, I don't want to say messy because that's not the right word, but not be like so structured and look like we're trying too hard. Like we want to make the eye look very soft. I'm gonna go in again with that cool tone shade we just went in with, and I'm going to apply that all on this outer edge like so. Then I'm also gonna take this shade over here at the top, which is a deeper, I feel like it's kind of in the middle. It's not too cool toned, but it's not too warm. But I'm going to be applying that right onto this outer edge. And I'm going to just blend that all throughout and really make it become one with the other color. Again, we're keeping the softness of this eye. Like so. I will say when it comes to the eyes, that's really, I feel like, more customizable because it really, I guess, depends on what you're wearing. Obviously, if you're wearing something that is a little bit more of like, for example, like a yellow, or like if you're wearing I feel like yellow is the main color I can think of, or maybe like a brown dress, something like that, you don't really necessarily think of a cool tone eye look moment, but the dresses that I've been wearing, I feel like the cool tone eye moment has really complemented. I feel like a key that I will say though with eyeshadow is that blend as much as you can everything, so it just gives you a lot of softness and it looks effortless. Like it doesn't look like you went in with too much effort on the eyes. It's like you kept it more subtle and just about enhancing the eyes. Let's say if you are doing an eye look and let's say you're not using these tones, you're just using you know, whatever colors you want to use, the best way to keep the softness of the eye is to continuously blend it out with a nice big fluffy eyeshadow brush so that everything else can just flow seamlessly with the rest. So now I'm gonna go in and take one of my favorites black eyeshadows, and it's this one from the Makeup by Mario palette. This is the Master Matte palette. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a angled brush, and I'm going to just start to create that wing. For me, I like to do the wing just on the outer part, and I find that with my eye shape and everything, this works the best because I feel like I don't have too much lid space. So I feel like if my eyeliner all throughout is very thick, it can definitely like make the eyeshadow not pop as much and just kind of like hide the eyes a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to just go in with the half wing because I feel like the half wing really does a good job of still keeping a lot of that eyeshadow very noticeable and prominent, but also it really just kind of keeps the softness of the eye. Sometimes I can take it a little bit further, especially if I'm going to be using a lash, but I think that this is good for now. Just take your favorite angled eyeshadow brush, your favorite black eyeshadow that is really nice and pigmented, and start out by drawing like that first line and then going back in and doing that second portion of the wing. So again, we're keeping the eyes very subtle and simple. We're not doing anything too intense, but we're still allowing to enhance certain things about the eye that are really gonna pop once we put on our mascara and our lashes. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to do eyeliner, and I'm going to just apply it all over the waterline. I typically don't do this step, but because it is for a wedding, and I feel like for the wedding you can kind of glam it up a little bit more when it comes to the eyes, and because we're putting on an eyelash, I really want that all to blend very nicely. So you just want to make sure that you're going in and blending that all out, and you can see it kind of like allow the eye to just become one with the whole look. Okay, next up I am going to go ahead and curl the eyelashes. I'm just using the Shiseido lash curler. For mascara, I am going to be using waterproof mascara, which is definitely an essential for a wedding guest or wedding bride makeup look. You want to make sure that these lashes stay in place and that you don't get raccoon eyes for a wedding or your wedding. I actually used this on my friend for her wedding when I did her wedding makeup look, and she was crying a lot, like a lot. So I made sure to use this Lash Princess waterproof mascara on her, and it did not fail. Essence has some of the absolute best mascaras, I have to say. I'm very impressed with their mascaras, and for the price, you literally cannot beat that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take mascara, and right now I'm working through a little bit of a lash fallout again. I don't know what's going on. It's always this eye. It's always this eye. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with lashes. So I'm gonna be taking these Demi Wispie Ardell lashes, which if you are a bride, a bridesmaid, or you're a wedding guest, you can't go wrong with Ardell's Demi Wispie line. You just really can't. My other recommendation, well, they're over there, which you guys have seen me use many times, are the individual press-on lashes. Those are really nice too. I don't think they're the hardest to apply. I know some people have some issues with them, but I feel like they're nice because they're individual, so you can just apply them exactly where you want to apply them. You don't have to worry about, you know, going in with a strip lash and then it popping off. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just use this because I feel like I haven't used a full lash in a minute, and for both weddings that I went to, I was wearing a lash. Like I was like, I need a falsie. Like I love this look, and you can just leave it right here. You can just leave this exactly as is and it still looks stunning. But I just wanted to take it to the next level because I don't do this every day anymore. So for me, I was like, this will be fun. That I'm gonna use. I'm gonna first start off with one eye. I always like to go in and trim them a little bit because you want it to be comfortable. You also want to fit the shape of your eye. Just trimming a little bit, and always measure it too before you apply it to just make sure that it's gonna go exactly where it needs to go. I feel like you can never go wrong with the Demi Wispies. I feel like they fit a lot of different eyes. One thing I did learn, especially with doing bridal makeup, okay, that's perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna put it on. One thing that I learned with doing bridal makeup is that not all lashes are like one size fits all. There's lashes for different types of eye shapes, but I find that these, the Ardell Demi Wispies, have always been the most consistent for me when I was working with very different eye shape. And then I'm gonna let it just get a little tacky. You don't ever want to apply your lash right, like after you glue, you don't want to apply it on your eye because it's going to move around. It's still way too wet. You want to give it a, I would say like 30 seconds to a minute to just kind of get really nice and tacky so that once you put it onto your eye, it's going to be sticky and it's gonna just stick right on exactly where you place it. Okay, so I'm going in and I like to first stick it in the middle, and then I stick it on the outer corner, and then I bring it in to top it all off right in the front. And then I just press it. You just want to press it down. And something else that's so great about the Ardell lashes is, especially these, the Demi Wispies, the band is so thin that when you're going in, especially if you're not going to be using eyeliner, like I didn't use eyeliner, the band isn't going to be as noticeable. So I find that just by doing this step, you save yourself from having to, you know, do that thick eyeliner. It's going to allow to really go in and blend nicely with the eye. These Demi Wispies are nice. Okay, look at the difference. And something else, which may seem pretty obvious, but just keep this in mind, especially if you're new to this, is try to always get as close to the lash line as you possibly can. I feel like when you get as close to that lash line, you avoid there being any gaps. There you have it. Lashes are done, eyes are done, and now we can move on to foundation. So the eyes just look really nice. And again, I feel like because the softness of the eyeshadow is there, the lashes just give it like that extra like oomph, you know, like they just make them pop really nicely. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I am going to do foundation. Well, not foundation just yet. We're gonna go ahead and go in with this primer combo that I've used for both of the weddings that I went to. And let me just tell you, my makeup lasted so long. Like the first wedding, afterwards, I wore it out still and it lasted me, I think I did the glam at like maybe like 10 a.m. It lasted me all the way to 1 a.m. The next glam I did again around the same time and it lasted me all the way till the next day. Like, don't even ask. But it lasted me for the entire literally day. And even the eyeshadow lasted me for the second wedding for like the next day as well. Like I took off the foundation at like in the morning and then I was like, okay, the eyeshadow still looks good. So I literally kept it on for the rest of the day, for a good amount of the rest of the day. And I was like, wow. And I honestly think it's because I used, where is it? Where did I put it? Oh, the Infallible concealer on the lids to really keep that eyeshadow locked into place. So I was very impressed. Okay, but anyways, we're gonna go back to the glam. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these two primers. I'm gonna start off with the Essence All About Blur Primer, this one. And I'm going to be placing this in the mid sections of the face, like right here, right here, right here, and right here. So what this does is this going to minimize the appearance of my pores. It's also a non-comedogenic formula, so it's going to make sure that it doesn't clog my pores, doesn't cause like me acne or anything like that. When I go in with primer, especially a blurring primer, what I like to do is I like to tap it into the skin. I don't like to go ahead and like rub it all over or just be very rough with it. I like to really target it exactly where I want it to do its job. And for me, it tends to be right in this midsection where I really want to make sure that, you know, it gets me covered if I need that extra support of blurring anything out. And you can see how it starts to blur things out, but in a very healthy, natural way. That's something else I really appreciate about this formula. It's still very nice and hydrating, which is good because I know it's going to allow the foundation and everything else to sit very nicely on top of the skin. So I always appreciate that from the primer. Now, I will say I don't use primer every day. I honestly, for the most part, like to use a stick foundation. The Dior is my favorite everyday foundation, or I'll use like Milani's. Sometimes I'll use both of them, and for those days, I don't use primer. For like the everyday, I don't use primer, but I can safely say these two primers, I've used them for these occasions, for special occasions where I really want my makeup to last, and I've noticed the difference. And you can see how it's blurring. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead with the Power Grip Matte Primer, and this we're gonna apply on the outer parts of the face. So this one, you can go in almost like you're applying moisturizer. You don't have to go in and pat, 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 because this one is gonna go more so on the outer parts of the face. I like to apply a grip primer on the outer parts of the face because that's where my makeup tends to come off the most, especially as an oily skin person. So I really like to go in and target, and then whatever is left, then I can kind of go in and press in other areas, especially like the areas where we didn't go in with the blur primer. So like the cheek area, I like to kind of just take the product out, but in the outer parts of the face, yes, I do like to go ahead and just really grip it. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and take our foundation. So for foundation, my holy grail for event makeup at the moment is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Matte Impeccable Foundation. This foundation is so good for this. Like, it's definitely full coverage, and it's definitely a foundation for somebody that does have more so oily skin. And unless, I will say, unless you're somebody that likes that really matte finish, then I think you'll like this if you don't have oily skin. But if you like that more hydrated finish, that glowy finish, this is not the foundation for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my Rare Beauty spray, and I'm going to spray my brush because I know this foundation is so nice and matte, and it's definitely a more thicker consistency formula. Like so, I know that I still want to cut it through with a little bit of some hydration. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply it onto my face and start to work with it. I'm like, ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna take the brush and I'm gonna start to work with it. I also really like this color for myself. I feel like it's a great match. And do you see how using a spray, a hydrating spray, really helps cut through the foundation? And because we prep the skin so well, look how the skin still looks so good. Like, it still looks like skin. Oh, and also one more thing I want to point out, this is a good tip. Don't go too close to the eye with the foundation because that's what the concealer is gonna do. So don't worry about that too much. Just let it do its thing. Everywhere else except for on the under eye area, because the concealer is going to really make sure to tackle that area. And because I have under eyes that really crease, I don't want the under eye to look too cakey because I went in with foundation first and then I went in with concealer. So then I'm gonna take more of that foundation from the back of my hand and just apply any extra. And you can see, does not look cakey. Let me bring you guys in closer. You see how it looks really nice and healthy. Something else I want to point out about this foundation shade in particular, I feel like this one is a true neutral. And I feel like lately a lot of foundations have been coming out with neutral tones and they're still so orange. What is going on? Why is a neutral tone orange? I've reviewed like 2 products recently that are actually, one of them was really nice. The CoverGirl, I really like that, but I'm like, this is not a neutral tone. This is orange, you know. And I feel like I was probably being generous because I said, you know, it's a little warm, and everybody's like, girl, that's not warm, that's orange. And you know what? You're right. It is orange. And so I'm just like, what is going on with brands coming out with neutral tones that look orange? But I have to give it to Anastasia Beverly Hills because I find that this tone that I have right here, which I don't know what. Yeah, this one is 3N, so 3 neutral. This is actually a neutral tone. Like, it's neutral. And it looks a little off maybe right now. Like, it's a little lighter than what, like, my neck is. But, I don't know if you could see. I feel like when you brush it down, you can see that it works. But also, once I go in with, like, bronzing and all that, it all comes together. But for me, it's just that, like, you're telling me that you're a neutral tone, but you're not, you know? Not you, Anastasia. I'm talking about other brands. So yeah, that's a foundation. This foundation is definitely geared more towards oily skin. How it looks like this, how it has a pretty glow and it still looks like skin, is definitely not how it may look on somebody with dry skin. On somebody with dry skin, it may pull a little cakey because of the dryness on the skin as opposed to somebody that has a lot of hydration. Also keep in mind though, for me at this very moment, I did go in and prep my skin really well, let the product sink in, and also prime and do all that stuff, which I feel like led me to have this really nice smooth base. Okay, so now that we have done that, we're not gonna go in with any more foundation. This is perfection. Anywhere else that we may need to add, you know, complexion product, we'll go in with the concealer. And I'm gonna go ahead and take the Infallible Concealer by L'Oreal. This one is in the shade, I'm pretty sure it's Amber. Yeah, Amber. So I'm gonna take my product and just put it right here and then put it right there like so. For concealer, I've been loving the House Labs brush. It is so good. I like how it's like angled in like a triangle kind of, and it also kind of mimics, like the shape of it mimics like the shape of like a blender sponge. It's just a really pretty brush. Look at the under eyes. They look so good. They don't look cakey. They don't look intense. They just give a good look directly on the under eye. We get great brightness. It's not like overly bright, but it just looks good. So we have that. Look at that difference. Then I'm gonna go in with my favorite powder of all time, the One Size Ultra Peach Powder. I'm gonna take my puff, and I'm only going to, then I'm gonna just dab it on the back, but I'm only gonna take it right where my little crease lines are. I'm not gonna take it any further down because I don't want this look to get too cakey. Or to get cakey, I should say. So we're just gonna set it right there. And that's a tip that I would definitely give to somebody that's worried about powder making them look too cakey, or powder, you don't like the finish that like too much powder gives you, but you crease and so you still need some sort of powder. That really does a beautiful job of really locking in the under eye where you need it to lock in, but also not dehydrating the rest of the look. And this is a good concealer to use for a wedding because it is a up to 24-hour wear, waterproof type of formula. It's really gonna make sure that it stays locked into place even through those tears. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm going to start warming up the face and doing a little bit of bronzing, contouring, all that good stuff. But you know what I think I wanna do first? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do the nose contour. This is like my tried and true for nose contour. The Fenty Matchstick, one of my favorite products. And this one is in the shade Mocha. Then I'm gonna go in and warm up my face. To warm it up, the Milani Cheek Kiss Spilling Tea Cream Bronzer is a holy grail that I just really love. I'm just going in right here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of contour. I'm gonna be taking the Rare Beauty Solace contour, the cream contour, and this is so pigmented, so just keep that in mind. And I'm gonna take that like that. Just very, very subtle. I don't wanna overdo it. And then you can see it structured like that. You don't wanna take it too low because then it's gonna like, you know, bring it down. But this is just like a really nice effect because it really helps keep this nice and soft. And then again, on this side, I find that this is a really good contour shade. I'm also gonna be taking my fluffy brush and just dusting that away. Do you see how nice and smooth it still looks? Even though we went in with powder and we went in with, you know, our concealer, it just creates so much more smoothness because we stayed away from that area. Okay, now we're gonna move on to our blush. For blush, this is the blush that I've been using for my wedding guest look. And I'm gonna start off first with the cream. You guys know Morphe came out with these trios, which Morphe has just been killing it with their products. And I'm going to apply this, the cream first, right up here. Just a little bit right there, and then I'm gonna take the other portion of it right on this side, like so. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take the powder version of it, and I'm going to apply that all throughout the place where I applied the cream. And this is just going to set that cream in place so that it stays and it locks in. Because wherever I apply a cream, I like to apply a powder, like so. This one is in the shade Cheek Thrills. It's my favorite. I feel like it's so wearable. Very pretty little pop of pink without it being like too intense. And then, like I said, because we have to go in and powder everywhere we applied cream, I'm gonna go in with the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Bronzer. This one is in the shade 400 Tan. And I'm just gonna be taking my brush and I'm going to be applying this everywhere that I applied my cream bronzer. Now, this is super pigmented, so I'm only going to go into the powder one time to do the forehead and then here too. I don't want to overdo it and then look orange, you know? And we are going to do the lip before we do the last powder and set. So for lips, this has been my combo for wedding guest makeup. These three right here. So we're first gonna go ahead and start off with my tried and true Rare Beauty Favorites lip liner. This one is in the shade Gifted. So I'm gonna take Gifted. It's a really pretty brown tone. And I'm just following the natural shade on my lips. I'm not trying to create a new lip or anything. Then I kind of go a little over in the middle, just because then I can go in and blend it so it can be really nice and diffused. Okay, next up we're gonna take this lipstick by Essence, which is Soft Beige. I actually featured this in Full Face of Essence. I'm pretty sure I did a Full Face of Essence makeup and I'm pretty sure I featured it there. But this is an 8-hour wear soft matte type of lippy. This is the prettiest nude tone. I feel like it's really flattering with my complexion, but also what I like about it is how comfortable it is. It is a very, very comfortable lippy. And then I'm just gonna kind of dab it with my finger to further blend it into the lip liner. And there we have it. And then to top that off, we are going to go in with a gloss. You can leave it like this if you want more so of that matte look. I feel like it's just really like giving 2016 vibes, which I love. And I feel like there's so many throwbacks right now to 2016 makeup, which I think is amazing. So for gloss, I am obsessed with this Essence gloss. This one is in the shade Gold Dust. I feel like it's the perfect nude shimmery gloss. It's like that really good, perfect nude. And I just really, really like how this looks. So I'm gonna apply this all over, and it really gives such a stunning look. Okay, bonitas, we've almost reached the end of this tutorial, but I wanted to get into my wedding guest outfit. What I'm gonna go ahead and do first is I'm going to go ahead and just apply some powder. And this is the Maybelline Super Stay Up to 24-Hour powder. And I'm gonna be applying this powder all over the areas where I like to have a really nice matte base. Now, as you can see, the skin looks so nice because of the fact that we layered it so beautifully, so it doesn't look cakey. But this powder is just gonna give it that extra level of in-placeness. Then I'm going to end it with this, the iconic Loreal Mist. This is the infallible 3-second mist, up to 36 hours. Okay, 36 hours of transfer resistant. I love this stuff. So I'm gonna just shake it well, and then I'm gonna spray it. And this is just literally like hairspray, but for the face. Like, it literally locks everything into place. This is what I used on myself for both weddings, and then, like I said, I ended up wearing them for more than 24 hours. One almost for more than 24 hours. Let me use the fan instead of using it. And I also used it on my friend for her wedding, and she was in place for the entire day. And we are done. Bonitas, this is the ultimate oily skin approved wedding guest makeup look with lots of tips and tricks for the next wedding you're going to, because I know there's a lot of weddings coming up. Summer, I feel like, is a big wedding season, also like fall, big wedding season. So this is just the full face right here, and I am obsessed with how this look turned out. So if you enjoyed watching this, please give this video a big thumbs up. Lets me know to continue doing tutorials like this. I feel like they're super helpful for mis bonitas. So let me know if this is something you want to see more of, and I can definitely bring that for mis bonitas. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, or if you want to share some of your favorite wedding guest makeup tips and tricks, please leave them down below. I love learning new things. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Don't forget to stay safe, stay blessed, and stay beautiful. Y nos vemos pronto. Adios, bonitas.